Hi, my name is Maddie Williams. I'm a senior at the University of Arkansas, and I'm double majoring in international and global studies and political science. I'm from Waco, Texas. My piece of artwork is located at the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, and it is called Along the Shore by William Tross Richards. Richards was one of the most important 19th century American landscape and marine painters, and he was born in Philadelphia in 1833. When he was younger, he worked for a company that designed gaslight fixtures, but he later came under the tutelage of a German artist, Paul Weber, who greatly influenced his artistic studies and was the reason for his later European travels. His European travels really refined his drawing skills, and he was heavily influenced by the ideals of the English pre-Raphaelite painters, who focused on the meticulous nature of depictions of the outdoors in art. Along the Shore is significant because it holds tight to the credo of truth to nature as put forth by the pre-Raphaelite sect of artists, which are less prevalent in America at this time. During this time, the more popular form of nature paintings were panoramic landscapes, which used subjects as affirmations of national identity and culture. Richard spent time studying at Europe's Dusseldorf, which is where most of his technical skill comes. However, much of his inspiration is found in the coastline of Rhode Island. In fact, he purchased a home in Newport in order to spend more time painting there and eventually settled down, raised his family there, and passed away in the Newport area. Some of the most important elements in this piece of art are the use of lines, forms, space, and color. There are several layers of lines that draw your attention as you survey the painting. For instance, there is a line of the initial waves at the forefront of the painting, but as your eye moves, it moves backwards to the next line of waves that are a little bit bigger, but it's all anchored in the line of the horizon. The waves themselves hold incredible form, having length, width, and depth to illustrate the power that runs along the coastline. And they also insinuate the imminent crashing of the waves, which is only possible through the aesthetic provided by the forms that Richard uses. The use of space in this work is admirable, for there is a huge gap between the ocean and sky, but Richard fills this gap with depth of vision, drawing your eye backward and up towards the horizon, instead of having your gaze stop at the ocean line and then pick up back at the sky. I think the principle of movement is vital to appreciating this artwork. As a static piece depicting a dynamic landscape, movement makes the painting come to life and directs your eye not only across, but back and up as you follow the shapes and color of the work. The most prevalent methodology in this piece of artwork is the biographical approach. This method views art as an expression of the life of the artist. It emphasizes authorship and uses a similar thread of thought in that the artist's life acts as the underlying text. Looking at Richard's biography, we can trace and see the flow of his personal narrative. His landscape pictures used to be consumed with contrast, but the shift to pre-Raphaelite style reflects not only his mentorship and artistic influence, but also his passions. His love for the coastline and importance it holds for him is highlighted through Along the Shore, as it represents the latter half of his life, the return to America, his settling down, and his eventual death. Richards in Along the Shore reflects things that were important in his life. He was greatly impacted stylistically by Paul Weber and others, so his depiction traces and honors that influence. He fell in love with the coast, and this piece shows that love, the place where he bought a home, brought his family, and later passed away. His Along the Shore belongs to the realm of realism, which is a change from the historical artistic framework of the time. My painting was finished in 1903, and the artistic movements at that time were a mix of expressionism, Fauvism, and Cubism, all of which are far different than Richard's painting and renderings. Richards, during his lifetime, moved artistic genres. At first, he found himself in the area of Hudson River painters, whose approach was greatly stylized and romanticized. This profoundly American take on the romantic landscape are reflected in three prominent themes, which are discovery, exploration, and settlement. This style of art tended to idealize aspects of nature, and that's where Richards departs from this movement. It was his time spent in Europe that he encountered the English pre-Raphaelite painters who ultimately influenced his stylistic shift to realism. They focused on the details of nature and art and their realistic depictions of them. Once Richards came back to the United States, he utilized that painting framework in his own work. So this painting is really resounded to me because it represents family tradition. For the first 18 years of my life, we traveled in the northwestern Florida Gulf Coast and spent our vacation time on an island there where my dad was younger. He built a cabin with his parents. And so it's almost a family tradition. And the ocean that Richards paints is really reflective of the ocean that I'm used to, and that really brings a sense of home and comfort back to me. And it makes me have an emotional connection with the piece. And it also reflects the biographical part of my life, which is pretty interesting. I enjoy the realism presented in this painting because it makes the experience concrete. And sometimes when I view abstract or romantic representations, I have a hard time connecting, but I was able to make a real connection with this piece of art, and I really enjoyed it.